Are you ready to unlock your full potential and maximize your productivity? Look no further than Productivity Smarts, the ultimate audio podcast hosted by renowned productivity expert Gerald J. Leonard. In every episode, Gerald shares captivating stories, invaluable tips, and cutting-edge strategies that will transform the way you approach productivity. Whether you're looking to reduce stress, overcome overwhelm, or simply get more done in less time, Productivity Smarts has got you covered. But that's not all. You'll also gain inspiration from real-life success stories of individuals who have achieved greatness through productivity. Plus, you'll learn the latest tools, techniques, and habits that will help you achieve a new level of happiness and fulfillment in your personal and professional life. So why wait? Join us every week as we delve into the exciting world of productivity and help you unleash your full potential. Get ready to take your productivity to the next level with Productivity Smarts. As a productivity expert and host of the Productivity Smarts podcast, Gerald J. Leonard has been a proud supporter of Kiva since 2011. Kiva is a non-profit organization that helps entrepreneurs in third world countries access the capital they need to start or grow their businesses. By making a small loan through Kiva, you can help these entrepreneurs achieve their dreams, support their families, and contribute to their local economies. And with a repayment rate of over 96%, your loan can be re-lent to another entrepreneur once it's repaid, creating a ripple effect of positive change. So if you're looking for a meaningful way to make a difference in the world, consider making a loan through Kiva. With loans as small as $25, anyone can be a micro-lender and help change lives. Visit kiva.org to learn more and start lending today.
Well, today I have with me Gerard Wouters. He is a Taoist therapist from Holland and the author of How to Make Life Simple, Happy, and Successful the Taoist Way. With over 28 years of experience in national media appearances, Gerard empowers people and businesses through ancient wisdom, storytelling, and practical tools to cultivate productivity through peace and presence. Gerard, how are you?
I'm fine.
Excellent.
Well explained.
I always try to get it right. Do a little research and read your books before I bring you on. Well, listen, as you know, I always ask a couple of questions for my guests because I'm a musician, and that's a big part of my life. And I know music is a big part of everybody's life. And so what is your favorite style of music?
It's deep house and disco.
Oh, okay. Now, do you have a favorite piece of music, like a song or something?
No, not really.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But listen to upbeat disco music kind of gets you in the mood to do a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, I love dancing.
Okay, yeah. Excellent. Well, listen, you've written a really interesting book, and it's based on a lot of the therapy and the things that you've taught, and also just how you came into the concept of Taoist. I know you were at a workshop and an old gentleman was staring at you based on what you had in the book, and he had a few words for you and kind of woke you up to a new way of living. But what made you successful throughout your life?
The treatment I developed is absolutely unique. And it helps people heal from all kinds of mental issues in 4 2-hour sessions or a 2-day workshop. And that's absolutely unprecedented. Maybe I'm going to kick a few people down their butt, because everybody calls themselves holistic these days. And unfortunately, they are not. And unfortunately, I am, because I really physically treat the body. And after that, I treat the mind, because, the problem is, and I've all kinds of therapists and all kinds of social workers as my clients. The problem is when your physical body is closed off, your mind is too.
Right.
When you don't open this up first, you're talking to the wall.
Right.
And that's such a waste of time and money, of course, because not for free, yeah. So, yeah,
exactly. I found early on in my own life that as I worked on doing yoga and meditation and de-stressing my body, that as I wrote out my goals and worked with different doctoral therapists, our coaches, more or less, our mentors, that things radically begin to change in my life because of what I was focusing on and what I was doing. But a big part of it was a morning routine where I did yoga and de-stressing activities that over time began to open up my body and release a lot of the overwhelming stress that was being held onto it. And that's actually what drove me to do this podcast, because it started with a bout with vertigo and a vestibular imbalance because of stress in the body. So I do believe what you're saying is really, really true, because I know from experience, when I have addressed those issues in my own body, then many things begin to open up and goals begin to happen right away, because I had released that stress or that blockage that was happening in my radius system.
Yeah. Well, everything shows in your body.
Yeah.
Grief, sadness, relationships, problems, everything shows in the body. Abuse.
Yes.
And let me give you another example. Like pelvis instability with women. 100% abuse or sexual abuse or suppression.
Mm.
And usually they go to physical therapists and stay there for years.
Right.
With my treatment, it's almost always over in 2 sessions.
Oh, wow. And it's true, because I had met someone he was a chiropractor, but he did something called network analysis, which is dealing with the spine. And basically he had some of the same concepts, and there's some books out on it as well, but it was about how the body, based on what trauma you've gone through, how the body holds onto that in certain parts of the body.
Yep.
And that you have to really address those parts of the body and get that energy released so that then you can let those emotions go. So again, I think that's really fascinating.
Well, I'm really hoping to get on TV in your country so I can demonstrate what is in your body and where is it.
Yeah.
I can demonstrate and explain everything that's in your body and where it shows. Like anger, it's on top of your shoulders. When you're angry or have been angry or it's not processed yet, your shoulders will do like this.
Right, you get tense in your shoulders.
Yeah, it shows. And grief, it shows between your shoulder blades. And we differentiate the left side of the body and the right side of the body. The left side of the body is your emotional side. Yeah. And the right side is your thinking, your analytic side. So now you're gonna laugh. What I usually would say to women, when you found your guy in bed with another woman, it'll be on the left side because you hate the When it's 2-3 years ago, it'll be on the right side. So it's not an emotion anymore, but it's still in your system. Well, you haven't processed it yet. And depending on how high it's between your shoulders, you can even see how many years ago it is. And I always completely surprise people when I tell them, oh, that's about 7 years ago. And they were, what? Yeah, that's right. Because then this and this and this happened. If your body is telling it to me.
That's crazy.
President, it is absolutely unique.
Yeah, let's jump into the book. So you talk about the book titled How to Make Life Simple, Happy, and Successful. In your book, you talk about how managing people based on being human rather than being numbers, that helps create more productive teams. Can you share a story that highlights the Taoism principles in action when it comes to just really helping people to be human and create more productive teams? Some of the things, I know you have a number of stories in your book around that.
The most important thing, there are 3 major issues at this moment where humanity is suffering from. And the first one is the feeling of not being good enough.
Okay.
Which is the cause of burnout and depression. Because when you feel not good enough, you're going to start proving yourself to the world that you're good enough. Completely overstep your boundaries. And then your body says, okay, gone. We're done. No more. The other issue is fear. We get learned every day. Everybody, the government and, it's always something. If it's not terrorism, it's climate change, it's bombing, you know what? It's always something. But the problem is, we learned fear once, ages ago, when we lived in the jungle. And in the jungle, we lived among very big wild animals that wanted to have us for breakfast.
Right.
I don't know what you're about anymore and where you live, but I don't see bears or tigers on the streets anymore. So fear is not serving us anymore. And when you fear, you give the power to somebody else of your life. And it's not how it should be. You know, there's a film with Will Smith where he plays with his real son. The film, his son is also in real life his son.
After Earth is the movie.
Yeah, and he says something very, very right, very important that most people don't notice. He says, you know what? Danger is a reality, but fear is a choice. And that's how it is. Absolutely. You choose if you fear something or not. And the problem is, when you fear something, you will see that it comes to you. You automatically, unconsciously attract what you fear.
Yeah.
And the lesson, because the lesson is unlearn that fear. Like a fear of spiders. When you're afraid of spiders, you'll see that your complete house is filled with spiders. And you will even see them where they're not there. You know,
Right.
Mind tricks on you. Until you realize that a spider is only like this big. And completely, totally harmless. Cannot do anything to you. Or the moment you really realize that, you'll see that your house is clean. No more spiders in your house. Because unlearn the fear, you don't have to be confronted anymore with that fear. So it's completely the other way around, like we learn every day.
Well, I do believe that what you focus on, you attract, right? It's part of what we call our reticular activating system. And that's why I think it's so important for people to write down their goals and write down what they want and write down what they're grateful for on a day-to-day basis. Because if they're focused on what they're grateful for, they're focused on their goals, and they're writing them down daily, you activate that same process that fear would have activated, and you begin to see all the things that you're grateful for. You begin to see your goals. You begin to see the resources. But on the other side, if you're caught up in fear, right, of spiders or whatever, that thing is going to be manifested in your life, and you're going to see it and you're going to experience it. And so that's a very important principle. Now, another principle that you talk about in the book, that's a Taoism principle, is the idea of flow and balance, right? Flow and balance. How can individuals use these principles to manage stress and avoid burnout, even in high-pressure situations?
Well, the problem is that a lot of people have the feeling that they're not good enough, but the issue is they get this projected on them by the surroundings. And the problem is the people in their surroundings, like colleagues, family, they have the same problem. So what kind of message can they give to you? They influence you with their feeling of not being good enough, and that's what gives you the feeling you're not good enough.
Right.
You know, you should step away from that because it's not true. Everybody has his value, and you need to realize what is that value. And this is something that I unlearn by explaining the process that causes this feeling, because this is learned from generation to generation to generation for hundreds, thousands of years. And it's not correct. And it's the basis of burnout and depression. And we should learn this, yeah? Realize that you are worth it. And stop trying to push and go step over your boundaries, because that is not serving you and it's not helping you get accepted. You should start evaluating yourself.
Right.
Realize your value.
Right. Now, you also talk about a storytelling workshop that you do. And basically, what you have in the book about it is that it helps people break through mental blocks or boost their effectiveness on a day-to-day basis. What is it about the storytelling principle or storytelling process that allows that to happen?
Well, it's a form of EMDR. You know EMDR?
No, well, can you explain that for us? What does that mean?
I don't know the exact theory behind it, but with EMDR, they often do it with computers or lights that go up and down.
Okay.
And sounds that go up and down.
Okay.
I do it the original way. I just walk up and down. And with my voice, I touch all kinds of frequencies. The 2-day workshop, I call it the workshop, but it's actually a treatment, a group treatment.
Okay.
And the essence of this treatment is that nobody has to tell me anything, because I explain all kinds of life processes, and it immediately goes into your unconsciousness, your unconsciousness. And that's where the change takes place.
Right.
So when I'm in front of a group, I start walking up and down and start storytelling according to the Taoist philosophy and explain all kinds of life processes and next step. Make people understand that a lot of things they learned every day is not helping them anymore and is not serving them to be right.
Right. So it's almost like a peripheral training where you're bypassing the conscious mind with storytelling to the non-conscious or subconscious mind, but to interject those changes that you are trying to make.
From within, not from the outside.
Right.
And a lot of therapists are teaching you all kinds of techniques, but the problem is, it's like teaching a monkey some trick. Right. When it gets the trick, it doesn't work anymore. So a change needs to come from the inside and not from the outside. So when I change your unconsciousness, you immediately start behaving another way, which you were not conscious of, but it'll help you. And one very important thing is, we all have setbacks. What people don't realize is that a setback is a message that is telling you something. It's telling you that you're doing something wrong. And when you decipher this setback, it becomes a message you can work with. I can give you an explanation. When by example, you have a friend, in the past you had a few words with them, an argument, and at one moment you call them up and you make an appointment for a few days later, and a few days later you drive up to him and you get a flat. That's a setback. That's a signal that something is happening out there. Now, there's two things you can do. First, you can repair the tire or replace the tire and still go to your friend. Right. And I guarantee you that you will never have a good day. Something else will happen, always. But what you can do is you can do it the other way around. You can turn it around and walk away. And that's what I explain to people. What you do is you call your friend and say, you know what? I'm going to have a flat and my mood is killing. So you understand that I really have no feeling of coming to you because this is not going to work. We're going to have a fight or whatever because I'm in a very bad mood. But you know what? You call me in a few days and we'll make a new appointment. What you do is you give the other person the chance to call you, and he can call you or not. That's his decision. But when he doesn't call you within 5 weeks, you have immediate clarity that this is not a friend.
Right.
And this is what the message is trying to tell you. That moment that you get the flat, it's not the right time for you to go to your friend. And when you realize that that is the message and you act on it, so, go back home and make a new appointment, then you'll see that you'll go back in flow. And that's what I said, when he doesn't call you within 5 weeks, that this is not a friend. So you don't have to give them any energy, any attention anymore, because a real friend calls you the day after.
One of the stories you had in your book was about a gentleman who was trying to make a meeting, and, he had all kinds of issues with the hotel, his flight, and everything else. And a long story short, the flight crashed and he was the only one that survived. It was kind of like what you were saying. It was situations that happened in life that kept him and prevented him from going. And I know in my own life, there's times where things just didn't work out. And when it starts going that way, I kind of accept the fact that something doesn't want me to go that direction, or I need to pay attention to what's going on and be a little bit more in tune, if you will, with life and with the messages that life's given me at this point, and maybe back off a little bit and let things play out. And that's kind of what I'm hearing. What you're saying is that life has a way of kind of playing itself out. And if, we're striving to go down the right road and do the right things, and then things are not working out with the relationship or with the situation, sometimes it's better to back away and listen and be self-aware and in tune than to just try to, force yourself into it. Because if you do, you could actually hurt yourself even more than being aware and learning from the situation. Is that about what you're saying?
Well, I take it one step further.
Okay.
When you decipher the setback, it becomes a message that you can work with. Then you understand why the setback occurs.
Right.
When you know how to decipher them, and that's what I teach during sessions, but also during workshops, I teach people how to decipher these setbacks so they understand what they're doing wrong and why it is wrong and how they can do it another way around. No?
Gotcha.
I don't back off, but I think, how to decipher it. So you realize what you are doing wrong and why you are doing it wrong. So it gives you the chance to do it another way.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, for families juggling busy schedules, especially now, there's a lot going on in the world, especially here in America with all the tariffs and everything else and just AI, and that's happening all over the world. There's just constant things happening. And it's, even when you try to have a calm schedule, sometimes life gets in and it just gets busy again. What Taoist strategies have you learned that you would recommend to stay connected and productive, even when you're in the midst of feeling overwhelmed?
Well, sometimes you need to say stop.
Okay.
Say, this is the border. I'm not going anywhere more. Yeah, you need to take care of yourself and your own health because that's your responsibility. I have a very funny example. I had a doctor under my treatment. He came back to the second session and he said to me, I don't know what she did to me, but the last couple of weeks, I told everybody no. And he said, with some of them, I had something like, what did I do? And he says, nobody had a problem with it. And it's so surprising to me that nobody had a problem me saying no. I said, the problem with saying no is here.
Right.
And by saying no is a very powerful word. You create respect. Yeah. Because you can do what you can do. We're only human. We're not robots. So you can only do what you can do and you need to set priority. Make sure that you take care of yourself. Yeah. Don't please other people to become popular because you won't.
Right.
You'll only create the opposite.
And saying no allows you to set boundaries. And when you say no, you say it the right way. It gets people to respect what you're doing and that you can't be spread out all over the place. Like I constantly am, I get phone calls and I constantly get emails or messages that, would you be a part of this test? Or would you like to learn more about this business opportunity? Or would you like to do, and I have to just go, here's where I'm going with my life. This is my strategy. These are the things I have. These are my goals. And because I have these clear direction, it makes it easy for me to say, no, that's not in the direction I'm going. If something is aligned with where I'm going and it fits within the framework and I can see it applying, then it gives me the chance to say yes. But if it doesn't, if I don't have those clear goals, sometimes saying yes or no can become confusing. But it's easier if you have a really clear set of goals and priorities and direction that you're going in with your life.
And understand that you're not a robot, eh?
Exactly.
Now, before I became a therapist, I was a financial interim manager. And at one point, I had 16 persons under my management.
Okay.
And there were 16 offices under them. And I got about 150 phone calls a day. And, my staff became completely nuts for all the phone calls they got.
Right.
So I said, you know what? From now on, I'm taking all the phone calls. And they all had something like, this guy, he's nuts. I said, no, Oh, I want all the phone calls. So the first phone call I got, somebody tried to tell me a complete story. I said, oh, stop. You got 3 minutes to tell me what is wrong, what am I going to do about it, and how to solve it. Oh, what? You heard me. You have 3 minutes to tell me what the problem is and how I can solve it. And if you can't tell it in 3 minutes, put it on the fax. I did that for a week, and they were all completely done. Yeah? That's how you should educate people sometimes, you know?
Because a lot of times people will call and want to just kind of complain and grumble.
Oh, yeah, they want to
They're really looking for real answers.
in their story. You know, I want to know what's the problem and how do I solve it?
Exactly.
If you can't tell it in 3 minutes, put it on the fax. And this way you create room. You know, you create room for yourself to do your job without getting crazy about all the phone calls you're getting in and overwhelmed.
Exactly.
15 phone calls a day. If they all tell their story, I need 12 hours more during the day. And hold on, you know, educate people that my is precious, and you have 3 minutes to tell me what the problem is and how I solve it.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, listen, as we wrap this up today, it's been a great conversation. Again, it's a great book, a lot of good stories and good insights. You know, what advice do you have for business leaders who want to lead more harmoniously while achieving high performance with their teams?
Well, this is going to sound very funny. Stop directing on numbers, because you don't work with numbers, you work with people.
Right.
And when you make sure that the people are comfortable and happy in their job, they will produce more automatically without pressure.
That's good advice. That's good advice.
I've been managing groups of people for 21 years, and I always had the best producing department, but we made jokes, the radio was on, you know, everybody came to work with pleasure, and that's the key.
Right. But the people are not the numbers.
More.
Exactly. Exactly. So where can people learn more about you if they want to get your book and if they want to work with you?
Well, my book is on Amazon.
Okay.
You can see it here. And I have a website, of course. I don't know if I can put it here.
Well, just tell me what it is, because I have the link of it. So just go ahead and say what it is, and I'll put it in the notes.
It's taoist.nl, but it's a little hard to explain in English.
That's okay. Well, we'll have the link in the notes so people can just click on it. They don't have to try to figure it out. And it's pretty straightforward when you see it. It's Taoist with .nl, and they can click on it and go right to the website. So
one important thing on the top right, there's a button that translates the website in English.
Okay, gotcha.
It's Dutch, but yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking with you. You got an amazing book that you wrote there. I love the stories and just the insights that you provide in the stories, and just the different way of stopping and making me think, like, there's different ways of looking at life and different ways of looking at situations. And I think it's really interesting too. And we didn't really talk about it, but I'll leave it up to the readers to go and check out your book about it. But the story of how you got into this work, where this older gentleman, Asian gentleman, was looking at you, and you started questioning him why he was doing it. And he really everything about you that you ever thought about and wanted to know, and what the issues were. And it really made you wake up and go, wow, I need to take a look into this, and how he ended up training you and getting you certified and set up to do the things that you're doing now. So thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your story, and for being willing to share about your book.
Cool. Yeah. So, it's on Amazon, so everybody can purchase it there. And then I'd love to get an invite from somebody to give 2-day workshops out there, because
Excellent. Well, we'll put that in the notes as well, and we'll hopefully we'll get all the best that works out for you there.
Well, with 54 million adults in America suffering from depression, that works.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thanks a lot.
If you're enjoying the content and finding it valuable, we would appreciate it if you could take a moment and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us and helps us reach a wider audience. If you leave us a 5-star review, it would mean the world to us. Not only does it help us improve the podcast, but it also helps us attract more sponsors and grow our community. Thank you again for your support and for listening to the Productivity Smarts podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to Productivity Smarts, where we help you achieve your goals and live your best life. We hope you've gained valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your productivity and increase your happiness and fulfillment. Remember to apply what you've learned and keep striving towards your goals. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring episodes and expert advice from our host, Gerald J. Leonard. Until next time, keep pushing forward and unleashing your productivity smarts.